The Skeptic Zone is brought to you by Dr. Bob's Trivia Quiz. Visit drbobsquiz.wordpress.com and see if you can match wits with Dr. Bob.
Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone for Monday. Monday, the 29th of December, 2014. Richard Saunders here with you from Sydney, Australia. Sorry the show's a day late this week. Christmassy things got in the way. And when I set to record the show last night, power tools from the neighbour got in the way, flight path got in the way, and my tired voice got in the way. Never mind. Enough with these silly excuses. What's coming up on today's show? We're going to kick off with an interview Maynard conducted at the recent Australian Skeptics Convention with Jay Novella. Oh, what a fine fellow he is. Jay Novella from the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. And, of course, we note that Rebecca Watson has just decided to step down from the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe after 9 years on the show. That's a mighty long run, folks. 9 years anywhere is a mighty long run. And, of course, it'll be interesting to see what Rebecca takes on next. Anyway, Rebecca is mentioned by Jay during the course of this interview. Jay Novella and the rest of the gang are such wonderful people. I was their bus driver a few weeks ago on a trip to Canberra, and there were certainly lots of laughs and good times on that trip. After that, it's a week in... what? No week in science? A week in science is taking a holiday this week. Maybe I'll just play the music. Now, we look forward to more A Week in Science in 2015, of course. Then I'll report on the recent court decision involving Homeopathy Plus, who had on their website in previous years articles promoting the fact that the current vaccine for whooping cough, pertussis, was ineffective. And anyway, you could certainly immunise your children with homeopathy. This culminated in a big court case, folks, and the decision was handed down a few days ago, last week. This was the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, the ACCC, taking on Homeopathy Plus. So a full report on the decision and the ramifications coming up. But now it's time for me to run downstairs, turn on the waffle iron, and make an awful lot of waffles while you enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Well, if you've got to go to a conference, you've got to go and hang out in a small airless room with this guy. Who have we got here?
Jay Novella from the Skeptic's Guide.
And look, to give you a visual here, think Rick Ocasek, any Cars film clip from the 80s. That's what you're wearing, man. It's cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's good. Hey, what music are you into these days? Obviously, you're a Run DMC fan from way back, a Beastie Boys fan.
I love the Beastie Boys, yeah. I mean, they're in my shuffle. I love it. And, new music, I got to admit, I have a son, right? I have a 20-month-old son. I'm listening to a lot of songs that teach the alphabet. And there's a lot of Elmo going on in my house right now. So I haven't picked up a new band in a while. So any suggestions, I'd love to hear it.
Are you up to that stage where you're watching the same Disney movie over and over again yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have it memorized. I have, there's a handful of things, and it's fun, but it's time for him to grow up and move on to the next level.
As someone who hasn't had children, probably never will, how's it like? Because you're a pretty swinging guy. You got around, you were on the scene, and now you're a dad with the kid?
Life just clicks over to something different, My wife and I, we put the baby to bed around 8, and sometimes we actually get into bed at 8:30. We'll watch a TV show and we fall asleep. It's like you're just going and going and going. You get up a lot earlier. But I had a lot of time to have fun in my life. Yeah. And now I'm having a totally different kind of fun, and I'm enraptured with my son. I couldn't imagine not having him. So it's fine. I am just perfect.
And last time you were in Australia was when you proposed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I proposed to my wife at the Sydney Opera House. Yeah.
So that's pretty bloody romantic.
It's awesome. Yeah, our friend Tony works there, and he gave us a tour, and I planned the whole thing. Gio learned a song for us, and we were in one of the beautiful foyers in the back that look on the water. And she thought we were videotaping a moment that Gio had wanted, which he wanted to play his guitar in the Opera House. And it turned out I asked her to marry me there, and it was fantastic.
Cool.
And we went again this year, and I gave her a follow-up present this year as well.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow. And of course, you're here because of the show, and I've got to say, the Novella family, amazing. And what an amazing bunch of people you are. What has got you all into the way you are with science?
Well, I think part of it is just, who we turned out to be from just, genetics. But my dad and mom were just so into teaching us. We had a word of the day board in our house growing up. My mom, was constantly cramming information into our heads. My dad, huge sci-fi fan, hugely into studying movies. That was another thing. We would talk about movies on the way home after we would go.
So critical art theory.
Yeah, legitimately. Like, he would ask us questions about the characters, or what did we think about the story? What did we like? What didn't we like? And as we got older, our assessments became more. We would extrapolate more. We would talk more about it, and then we would watch TV shows together with my dad. Lots of sci-fi. We used to watch In Search Of. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, right.
He's the man. It was just so shonky, but so fantastic.
But everyone believed that show.
Yeah,
and we did too. And then that was one of the shows that we ended up debunking. We'd go back and go, God, everything on that show was wrong, and we would analyze it. So that it came from my parents. It was part of the culture of our family.
Wow. And one thing I do love on the show currently is when you do a movie review now, it's coming a bit round full circle. It's always exciting to hear a skeptical and a scientific review of a movie.
We are passionate about it. That's it. So what it boils down to is we absolutely are dying to talk to each other when we see a movie, particularly something like Prometheus. That's the go-to.
Oh, yeah. But Interstellar, there was a bit of a mixed bag on that one.
It was. I mean, as I've grown, I'm not going to dare call myself a filmmaker, but we make videos, right?
Yeah.
We make some comedy skits. There's a lot of stuff that we shoot. We love.
You did Og the Skeptical Caveman. That was you?
Yeah. So Og the Skeptical Caveman. That's our 4-episode miniseries that's coming out in about a month or so. But we have about a half dozen skits that we have up on our YouTube channel, and I've learned a lot from that. And as I become a better filmmaker, and I have my friends that are experts at it. Particular friend Phil Hudson. He's just a fantastic filmmaker, and he's teaching me so much. So now when I go, I have a bag of tricks now. When I watch a movie, I can watch it as a director. I can watch it from just, is the lighting good? You know what I mean? So when we talk about stuff now, I'm thinking about it in a much deeper sense. But the storytelling idea and the things I've learned about storytelling help me appreciate movies in a different way. And it also helps me hate movies in a different way.
How did you feel about the lighting in most of the Star Trek movies, that lens flare? How do you feel that as an artistic?
We hated it.
Yep.
We hated the lens flare. It was too much, yeah. When you notice it, music is supposed to be there to enhance. The lens flare is similar, right? You use it appropriately and just enough, and it's there and makes things look cooler, and it's a little sparkle that makes things just have a little bit more intrigue. But man, did you notice that? Bingo, just was popping on the screen so much that I couldn't take it.
I was watching it at home. I thought there was a car driving around my front yard coming on the television there. Look, you and Rebecca are two of the more outspoken ones in the group. They're in different ways there. If you're going to say, if someone's going to say something outrageous, it's usually you're Rebecca.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we revel in that. We love it, and we also love to make each other laugh. I mean, I'm constantly trying to shove her, to make her do something, or to make her laugh. And either way, I'm happy if I can succeed in either of them. We are pals in a very. It's the best way to describe it. We always look at each other. We always check in with each other. We're in a live show. She's always doing something that makes me laugh behind the show. We always have a little conversation going on. If we're sitting next to each other, there's always a joke going on between us. I just adore her. She's like my sister.
What's the one thing that burns you skeptically? I know there must be a few items that really get you. Is there a particular sort of woo or a particular sort of, I guess being a father now, the vaccination issue would be much stronger even now than it was before.
Yeah. When you have a child and you see how helpless they are, it puts things into perspective. Yeah, vaccinations are so easy and so painless and so inexpensive, if not free. And people, will bend over backwards to not get their kids vaccinated, and they can't see the forest for the trees. It's so obvious. So any kid issues, taking your child to a chiropractor, it's not even a fully developed spine, and you're letting someone who isn't a medical doctor manipulate your child's spinal cord. There is something wrong with that. Using homeopathy, any of that stuff to treat your kids. So yeah, it's all of that is my prickly spot, and I just want to punch people when they don't treat their kids right.
Have you had an in real life conversation on this issue with anyone yet? Another parent?
Yeah. Yeah, my whole day job thing. I work with a lot of people, and they do the yearly vaccinations. They bring the nurses in, and we have a conference room, and everyone can get it. And I talk to people. I'm trying to encourage people. You should go get vaccinated. And I'm trying to do the "don't be a dick" thing. I really practiced that for a long time. And there's one guy in particular. He just flat out said, "Me, my family, my kids, none of us are getting vaccinated." And I'm like, I can't get over it, and I don't know what to do. And I feel like it's my job because I'm the skeptic and I'm the really informed one. Like I need to figure out a way to do it. It's just at some point you just have to realize you can't change everyone. You can only change the little small parts of the world that you can get your hands on, and everything else you just have to learn to accept.
And by pushing, you could even make it worse.
Absolutely, yeah. You certainly don't want to turn anybody off to science and critical thinking. You want them to consider it. Maybe it's a new novel idea to them. So,
what about the amber teething bracelets and stuff for the kids? Have they got that one in the US?
Yeah, we have that, of course.
They're usually plastic anyway. They're not usually amber anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the only thing that's bad about that is if it's an actual choking hazard.
True.
Sure, you could give your kid some medication or whatever. The teething, comes and goes. So other than kids choking, whatever, I'm not too worried about that one, even though it's just stupid. It's a sign of oh, come on, really? You're barely doing any research on something you're putting in your child's mouth, what can I do? I just tell people, that's nonsense. Talk to your doctor, find a good doctor, and listen to them.
The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is accepted as the gold standard of skepticism. I thought I'd have a listen to the gold standard of paranormal. There's a podcast called The Paracast. Mm-hmm. Not as good as you. The production's not as good as you guys.
I haven't heard of them, so what do they talk about?
Well, it's one guy with another guy, and they get guests on, but it's not the panel format you've got, and they don't tend to do a news section, that sort of thing. They mainly have guests on. Compared to your format, it's a bit lazy.
Well, I would just like to say at this point, we've worked very hard to refine our show. Even though Steve kind of nailed it in the beginning, we had a list of the segments and all that stuff. We've worked very hard to develop radio voices, to know how to communicate. It's a huge thing. You're reading
you've got the right equipment too. You've nailed the right equipment, even on tour.
Absolutely. Trial and error. I talked to people. I did sound reinforcement. I was in a band for 21 years, and I did sound reinforcement. But, today the gear is exploding. There's so much wonderful gear, and it's all relatively affordable. But, developing the skills to read news items and turn them into something that people will understand. I have to do the research to understand it myself. Then I have to figure out, what's the best way to communicate this so people are really going to get it and not be turned off by the complexity, or, get rid of the boring bits and just, focus on the things that people will be interested in. It's all skill sets. Look at you. You're a radio host. You didn't, when you were a teenager, you didn't have any of these skills, right?
No. Well, I certainly spoke much faster, even than I do now.
Yeah. So you just work at it, you get good, and then use it, man.
And then you get someone on your Facebook page going, that wasn't very good.
I can ignore it. Whatever. That's
what's your policy for the haters?
All right. So early on, I would get very upset. I'd be like, I'm working very hard over here, and I find the work that I do, it takes all my free time, time away from family and all that, and I get offended. Today on Facebook, I'm like, bring it on. You want to do that? All you're doing is making people jump on my Facebook page and join in on the conversation. I'm seeing skeptics come on and do the defending that I don't need to do it anymore. Cool. Our listeners are doing it, and they're honing their chops and getting good. And this is the best part, I'm seeing people tell other people, could we please have a rational discussion? Don't be a dick. If you don't come here and have something legitimate to say and can't communicate in a friendly and interesting and provocative, but ultimately, being good to each other, then get the hell out of here. And that's awesome, right? Yeah. So the message is delivered.
Nice and clear. Yeah. And with the skepticism scene developing over the years too, are you guys really interested in talking about the politics of the movement, or not really?
No, the politics is just humanity.
Yeah.
And you go to any movement, whatever it is, I don't care, just name any group of people that are together doing something as a collective, and you're going to have all of these different things happen, right? It's just part of the background human noise. I'm not in this. I don't care about that stuff. It's bad, whatever, this guy did that guy did that, whatever. I want to produce content. I want to help educate people. I want to educate myself. I want to enjoy myself, and I want to change the world. And if I focus on those other things, I'm not going to be doing the stuff that I'm actually good at.
Yeah, because it becomes like a skeptical gossip show.
Yeah, I'm not a clearinghouse for skeptical issues and drama. If I want drama, I'm going to go see a good movie. I'm not going to talk about the drama in the skeptical society. Get out of here. Just give me a good news item, and I'll talk to you about about that.
And this show has taken you guys around the world.
Yeah. We're very fortunate. I mean, I'd like to say it's been an enormous amount of hard work. A new band hits the scene. Never heard them before, right? I'm sorry, but that's not the first song that they've recorded, and that's not the first good song that they probably recorded. You're seeing a band after they've been together probably 10 or 15 years. And that's the way I look at us. Like we've been working really hard. We're reaping some rewards out of it. It's still hard work. This trip is hard work. I took 2 weeks of vacation from my day job, and it's not vacation. No. I'm just working. 7 shows in 2 weeks. That's a show every other day. So it's worth it, though, right? I am talking to you in Australia.
There's koala bears with iPhones in Bundaberg listening to you, streaming the show right now.
Yeah, I just want a few days off, with nothing to do, and Steve doesn't have my phone number.
So what's it like round here the second time? Have you got any different view of Australia this time? Has there anything been reinforced about us?
Well, all right, first of all, we developed relationships with a lot of the Australian skeptics because they come to TAM, United States, right? Our first trip here, I got engaged. It was totally magical. This time coming back, I was more excited to see my friends like Richard Saunders and everyone, Iran and Joe and everyone. There's just so many people here that we love. I didn't have as much time to vacation, but I realized on this trip that I didn't realize the first time how much I love Sydney. I love this city. And
is it the harbour views? Is it the sky, the way it is? What is it?
Every city, most good modern cities have an infusion of art and everything. The people here are very easy to get along with. I'm a New York City guy, so it's a rough city. There's not like that much friendliness happening. I don't want to talk bad about the city I love. It is a wonderful city, but Sydney just has a charm about it. It has an ease about it. It smells good. The subways don't have an odor. The coffee here is fantastic.
Yeah, we have a lot of coffee Nazis in this country.
Yeah, they know how to roast their coffee. They know how to brew it correctly. I just love it, and I'm very comfortable here. I've been to a lot of cities, and Sydney is like I'm the most comfortable in this city, and I love the Australian people, and you know why? Because you're an Australian. You just have a wonderful country.
Yeah, we just say hello, how are you? What's going on?
Yeah, everyone's friendly. I mean, it just doesn't seem to be a lot of that like fast walking anger here. It's like more flip flops and let's hang out and have a beer. And that's more my speed.
Now, can you let us in any future direction of the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe? You guys going to open a bus company or something like that? Something really different?
No, I mean...
skeptical bus, like the Partridge Family. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I could see us doing a tour around the United States in a bus. That would be fun. Yeah, the future of the Skeptic's Guide is, we're continuing to broaden the things that we do. So this year, we introduced our news page. We've been putting a lot of attention into our social media. Facebook page is definitely, we went from 60,000 likes to 500,000 likes, in 9 months. That was deliberate. It took a ton of hard work. We simply just want more people to hear about the podcast, and it's hard to do it. We're constantly experimenting. And like we said before, I love to shoot video, and we have a pretty interesting new video project, not the Ock thing, that's coming out very soon. We have a new project that has something to do with movie reviews that hopefully we'll be able to produce next year.
Now, how come someone like National Geographic, Discovery Channel, hasn't approached you and said, look, here's this, do it your way, give it a go, we'll give you 2 months, see how you go?
We have been. I mean, we shot 2 pilot episodes for National Geographic actually a year and a half ago. Having a TV show get shot and then actually have it make it to the air is almost impossible. Yeah. They say, industry people told me many times, it's like you have to win the lottery 3 times. They have to find you, they have to be willing to put the money up, and then they have to actually put the things that they create on the TV, which basically
and not destroy what you had in the process.
Exactly, and that's hard too because you're nobody. I'm not Bill Nye going and saying, look, I'm gonna produce this and I'm gonna make sure the quality is there. So we were fighting the whole way, not in a bad way, but we're just trying to make sure that it's not schlocky, that the science has to be real, and we're not going to pretend that we saw a ghost or any of that nonsense. And the 2 pilots that we shot were fantastic. I saw them. What happened was our executive producer left for another company, and all of her projects just evaporated. Right. We just shot another pilot for a private production company that was looking for content, and they're trying to shop it around right now. You know how it is. It's probably never going to happen, but when the opportunity comes, we will always be there to shoot a video.
Look, and the good thing, you know that you're doing good content. You know that you're just not their flavour at this time in this place.
Yeah, and I'm look, my goal is not to get on TV. I mean, that would be great, but it's not the thing I'm fiending for. I'm doing what I want to be doing. I'm spending time with the most important people in my life producing content. We love each other and we love doing what we do. And the podcast is a phenomenal, awesome achievement in my life. It's probably the most important thing next to my family that I'll ever do. And I'm there. I'm happy with where we are. I really am.
Well, look, thank you for visiting Australia again. I'll finish with the burning skeptical question, which is it like Spice Girls or Village People? What is it?
Oh, come on. Village People, man.
See, you didn't even have to think. That came from the non-thinking part of the reptile brain.
Right. Yeah. No, Spice Girls were okay for a song and a half, but, Village People live on.
Okay.
Hallo aan alle Nederlandse luisteraars. Op dit moment bent u aan het luisteren naar de Skeptic Zone. Voor wetenschap en kritisch nadenken. Voor meer informatie ga naar www.skepticzone.tv.
On the 22nd of December this year, I found myself in the Federal Court of Australia here in Sydney to see Justice Perry, via video link from Adelaide, declare that Homeopathy Plus engaged in conduct that was misleading and deceptive, or was likely to mislead and deceive. This was the result of Homeopathy Plus placing on their website from January 2011 till around April 2012 an article entitled Whooping Cough, Homeopathic Prevention and Treatment, which was subsequently, if I follow my timeline correctly, taken down but then put up again around 2013. The article Whooping Cough, Homeopathic Prevention and Treatment, and again another article in 2012, from 2012 to 2013, entitled Government Data Shows Whooping Cough Vaccine a Failure. This led to complaints being made to the ACCC, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, by, amongst others, I imagine, Dr. Ken Harvey, who filed a complaint in March 2012. More about that later. When Australian skeptics, when we saw that the Homeopathy Plus and Fran Sheffield had published these articles, she was nominated for the Bent Spoon Award in 2012. As an aside, she was also nominated this year for suggesting that homeopathy could be used to treat Ebola. But in 2012, she won the Bent Spoon Award, awarded by James Randi, for pushing this article that homeopathy could be used to treat pertussis, whooping cough. However, following the complaints made to the ACCC in February 2013, it did take action against Homeopathy Plus, which led to a court case which went on for some months and culminated in the judgment being read by Justice Perry via video link from Adelaide, as mentioned before. I was there with Peter Bowditch, ratbags.com, Ian Bryce from Australian Skeptics, our chief investigator, and our friend Maureen Chuck. Also in the court was Fran Sheffield from Homeopathy Plus, and a young lady whom I believe was her daughter, and a couple of court officials' legal representation. Originally, the time of the decision was set down for 2 p.m. The skeptics turned up at 2 p.m. only to find that the matter had been delayed till later on in the afternoon, so we all went away, came back, sat in the court, and finally, according to my notes here, at 4:57, Her Honour entered the court via video from Adelaide. We all stood up and bowed, as is tradition, sat down, and then we heard Her Honour read the following. Australian Competition and Consumer Commission applicant, Homeopathy Plus, Australia Proprietary Limited, ACN 134266149, and other named in the schedule, respondent. Order. Judge Justice Perry. Date of order 22nd of December 2014. Made where? Adelaide. The court declares that 1. The first respondent and the second respondent have a trade in commerce. A.
engaged in conduct that was misleading and deceptive or was likely to mislead and deceive in contravention of Section 18 of the Australian Consumer Law, ACL, and B, in connection with the supply or possible supply of homeopathic treatments or products, homeopathic treatments, and in connection with the promotion of the supply of homeopathic treatments, made false or misleading representations that the vaccine publicly available in Australia for whooping cough, vaccine, is of a particular standard or quality in contravention of Section 29.1a and b of the ACL. By publishing or causing to be published on the website www.homeopathyplus.com.au website, C, from 1 January 2011 until around 26 April 2012, an article entitled Whooping Cough, Homeopathic Prevention and Treatment, the first whooping cough article, in which a representation was made to the effect that the vaccine is short-lived, unreliable, and no longer effective in protecting against whooping cough. D, from 11 January 2013 until around March 2013, an article entitled Whooping Cough, Homeopathic Prevention and Treatment, the second whooping cough article, in which representation was made to the effect that the vaccine may not be the best solution for, or is of limited effect, and is unreliable at best in protecting against whooping cough. And E, from 3 February 2012 until around March 2013, an article entitled Government Data Shows Whooping Cough Vaccine a Failure, the government article, in which a representation was made to the effect that the vaccine is largely ineffective in protecting against whooping cough, when in fact the vaccine is effective in protecting a significant majority of people who are exposed to the whooping cough infection from contracting whooping cough. 2. The first respondent and the second respondent have in trade or commerce, A, engaged in conduct that was misleading and deceptive or likely to mislead and deceive in contravention of Section 18 of the ACL. B, in connection with the supply or possible supply of homeopathic treatments, and in connection with the promotion of the supply of homeopathic treatments, made false or misleading representations that the homeopathic treatments are of particular standard or quality in contravention of Section 29.1a and b of the ACL, and C, in connection with the supply or possible supply of homeopathic treatments, and in connection with the promotion of the supply of homeopathic treatments, made false or misleading representations that homeopathic treatments have a use or benefit in contravention of Section 29.1g of the ACL. By publishing or causing to be published on their website, D, the first whooping cough article, E, the second whooping cough article, and F, the government article in conjunction with the second whooping cough article, in which representations were made to the effect that there was a reasonable basis, in the sense of an adequate foundation in medical science, to enable it, or them, as the case may be, to state that homeopathic treatments are a safe and effective alternative to vaccine for prevention of whooping cough, when in fact, G, there is no reasonable basis in the sense of an adequate foundation in medical science to enable the first respondent and the second respondent to state that homeopathic treatments are safe and effective as an alternative to vaccine for the prevention of whooping cough, and H, the vaccine is the only treatment currently approved for use and accepted by medical practitioners in Australia for the prevention of whooping cough. The court orders that 3. The matter is listed for directions at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, 4 February 2015, in order to set a timetable for any further evidence on the questions of penalties and submissions, including on the injunctive and other final orders sought by the applicant.
It didn't take long for this decision to be tweeted and Facebooked and whatever all around the world. The ACCC too, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, sent out this press release.
As published on December the 23rd, 2014, at www.accc.gov.au. Court finds Homeopathy Plus vaccine claims misleading. The Federal Court has found that Homeopathy Plus Proprietary Limited, Homeopathy Plus, and its director, Miss Fran Sheffield, engaged in misleading conduct and made false or misleading representations regarding the effectiveness of the whooping cough vaccine and homeopathic remedies as an alternative in breach of the Australian consumer law. The Homeopathy Plus website contains statements to the effect that the whooping cough vaccine is, quote, unreliable at best, unquote, and, quote, largely ineffective, unquote, in preventing whooping cough, and that homeopathic remedies are a proven safe and effective alternative for the prevention of whooping cough. The court found that Homeopathy Plus and Miss Sheffield engaged in misleading and deceptive conduct and made false or misleading representations by publishing statements on the Homeopathy Plus website to the effect that, point, the whooping cough vaccine is short-lived, unreliable, and no longer effective, point, the vaccine may not be the best solution for or limited effect and is unreliable at best in protecting against whooping cough, and, point, the vaccine is largely ineffective in protecting against whooping cough, when in fact the whooping cough vaccine is effective in protecting a significant majority of people from contracting whooping cough. The court also found that Homeopathy Plus and Miss Sheffield engaged in misleading and deceptive conduct and made false and misleading representations to the effect that there was an adequate foundation in medical science for the statement that homeopathic treatments are a safe and effective alternative to the whooping cough vaccine, when in fact no such foundation exists, and the vaccine is the only treatment currently approved for use and accepted by medical practitioners for the prevention of whooping cough. Quote, representations that may mislead consumers about the effectiveness of medical products or treatments are of significant concern to the ACCC, end quote, ACCC Commissioner Sarah Court said. Quote, in this case, there was a real risk that consumers might be influenced by the representations not to use the whooping cough vaccine and instead rely solely on homeopathic products for the prevention of whooping cough. This is against the advice of medical professionals and the Commonwealth Department of Health, end quote. The matter returns to court on the 4th of February 2015 to set a timetable for further evidence on penalties and other remedies. The ACCC is seeking injunctions and pecuniary penalties in addition to the declarations already made by the court. Background. Whooping cough is a highly infectious respiratory disease which is most serious in young children. The Australian Government Department of Health recommends children receive the whooping cough vaccine as part of a routine childhood immunisation. In April 2012, Homeopathy Plus removed representations from its website at the request of the ACCC after the ACCC had expressed concern they were misleading. Similar claims were then reinstated in January 2013 after the ACCC initiated proceedings against Homeopathy Plus and Miss Sheffield.
This is no small victory for the forces of science and reason. I have no doubt that the people at Homeopathy Plus really thought that they would win this case, because they probably somewhere really think that this magical sugar water they promote and sell can cure or treat just about anything. So, of course, they think it can treat pertussis. All the information they get agrees with their point of view that homeopathy can treat pertussis, and also agrees with their point of view that the current vaccine is next to worthless. And you can vaccinate kids anyway with homeopathy. A sad case of delusion and dilution. It will be interesting to see what the court sets down as penalties in this situation, and the Skeptic Zone will keep you abreast of that when it happens. But finally, thanks to Dr. Ken Harvey, who did write to the ACCC back in March 2012, and the point there is that he used official channels to make a complaint, using the official form from the ACCC, filled it out correctly, included screenshots and the reason for his complaint, which makes a very important point. Skeptics, the Skeptic Zone, and all sorts of people like us can find these matters and make a fuss about them and report on them and comment on them. But at the end of the day, by and large, it does take government action, which can take some time to make real changes. What I hope is that this case will set a precedent, and more people with questionable remedies and so forth engaged in trade and commerce will come up before the ACCC. Links to the decision and other URLs can be found with the show notes for this episode.
AstronomyCast takes a facts-based journey through the cosmos as it offers listeners weekly discussions on astronomical topics ranging from planets to cosmology. Hosted by Fraser Kane of Universe Today and myself, Dr. Pamela Gay of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, this show brings the questions of an avid astronomy lover directly to an astronomer. Together, Fraser and I explore what is known and being discovered about the universe around us. Join us each week as we take a facts-based journey through the cosmos at astronomycast.com.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Thank you to those people who have been buying the Vaccination Chronicles DVD. Wow, I've been sending out quite a few of those around the country. This, to remind you, or to let you know for the first time, the Vaccination Chronicles documentary I made last year with the help of lots of people is on YouTube. But if you want to share the love, share it around on DVD, the deal is that you buy one for $12. I'll send that to you, autographed. And then it's up to you to make a copy of that, copy it to your hard drive and copy it to other discs, and then please give it away. And all the people you give it to, encourage them to make copies themselves and give those copies away. The artwork for the cover and the label are embedded on the DVD itself, so if you want to make artwork for it, print out a cover, you can, or not, it's up to you. But that $12 is a indication from you that you support what the Skeptic Zone does and you support vaccination and you want to help get the message out. And it does help cover the costs involved in putting the documentary together and making the DVD. Anyway, thank you to those people who have been doing it. It's nice to think that hundreds of DVDs, copied and copied and copied, will be circulating in our society, showing young parents the benefit of vaccination and warning them, or showing them what it was like before the time of widespread vaccination. Also, thank you as ever to those people, those lovely people, you wonderful people, who subscribe to the Skeptic Zone via PayPal at www.skepticzone.tv, where you can also buy the DVD. Your weekly contributions mean the show keeps going. It really does. It's as simple as that. And coming up, I have another microphone to buy for somebody. But it's all good, folks, because then you get to enjoy more reports and interviews and things like that. Well, this is the last Skeptic Zone for 2014. And next year, 2015, let me see, will mean the Skeptic Zone would have been produced in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 8 different years, in 8 different years, my goodness. Oh, and thank you for those people who wrote in to tell me what you were doing while you were listening to the Skeptic Zone. One listener in the Netherlands, I think it was riding a bike, getting Christmas presents. I think that's wonderful. But it's nice to know somewhere that you're listening to me right now while you're doing something annoying, or you're on a long walk somewhere, or maybe you're cleaning out something or other, and the show's been keeping you company, sort of like a bit of mental stimulation inside your headphones. That's an interesting thing. Mental stimulation inside your headphones. It's nice to know the Skeptic Zone keeps you company while you're doing whatever it is you're doing today. But for this week, and for this year, this is Richard Saunders, signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.
Oh, it's Fred. Hello, Fred. What do you want? Yeah? Oh, I bet I know what you want. All right, here we go. Yes, Fred likes water from the bathroom tap. It's the only water that will do. Right, here you go. Okay, I think I'll leave Fred to enjoy that. Right, now, good old Fred. Where was I?